Hi, this is Chrissy Incognito, and welcome to another episode of my show. Now, you might be wondering why I'm incognito. This is my alter ego that can say things that I cannot otherwise say unless I was incognito. So, thank you for returning. In order to understand more about this episode, view the previous episode. Happy listening. So, everything continues. I live with my parents. I'm still at the crappy job. I'm online. Okay, so right now, here is where we're going to put the miscellaneous men. And these miscellaneous men are in between the Mike relationship and the Bob relationship. And so I will see you back for the Bob episode soon. Happy listening. So, welcome. Thank you. So, this particular episode is going to be entitled Miscellaneous Guys. Okay. So let's see. The year was 2020. I'm sorry, 2003. I'm mixing up my timelines. 2003. And I just moved back with my parents because I broke up with Mike, not to be confused with Michael, which is in the beginning of the vlog. Okay, so I'm back with my parents. It's not really a good time. I'm in their way, they're in my way. But anyway, so I'm on a chat room. So at that time, AOL still had a chat room. So I went back to what I normally know, right? I was in those chat rooms since what, like 97, 98. So I'm in there. So these are just some of the guys that I met. Now, I never really felt that any of these guys were bad or threatening. I can say that meeting on the internet back then was way different than now. I I really don't think I would do that now. You know, it is that the predators were always there. They were always there. But I just feel like they're just completely more now. I'm sure that there's some like normal ones in there, normal guys in there, but I didn't feel like that back then. But times have changed. So it's 2024. So that was 21 years ago. So as we know, times always change. So, okay. So the first guy I'm going to talk about is Christopher or Chris. I guess I'll call him Christopher because that was his name. And I was about 20, maybe I was 30, right? I was 30, 29. I don't know. Let's just say I was 29. And he was 25. And we were talking 25, 26, something like that. And we were talking and we hit it off. But I said, I said, now he was what? 3, 4, 4.5 years younger than me. I said, you're too young. I should have said that in the Greg episode, which will be recorded later on. We're doing this in order that it happened. So I should have done that in the Greg episode. But anyway, he was like, let's say 4 years younger than me. And so at that time, I was like, no, like, I need somebody who's like established and a little further along, not only in maturity, but in their career. So anyway, he persisted, but I didn't feel like he violated any boundaries or anything. But he persisted, and I said, "You know what? We're going to be meeting at Longhorn or Outback or something like that." Okay, like if he's a creeper or if this isn't working out, I will run out and pretend to go to the bathroom. We girls have to protect ourselves, right? So if it's a creeper or somebody that is just like, oh, he will not take no, he will not be good with a no, or, this isn't working out. I mean, I suggest it for guys too. If the guy feels like the woman's insane, definitely duck out, you know? So we met at like 5 o'clock at night. And the reason why I'm specifically saying the time, I'll get to that. So we met at 5. Now, at this point, I was I was not drinking. I did not start drinking until I was a little past 40, okay? So, I like, I didn't drink at all. So, even though we were at a place that was drinking, he didn't drink, I didn't drink. Now I'd be like, only where there's alcohol. But I don't think I would do that on a date because it just gives the guy a wrong message. But anyway, um, so we were talking and we were having a great time. We were talking. We closed out the place. We were there until like 2 o'clock in the morning, and we weren't even drinking. It wasn't like, oh, you know, bartender, another round. No, we were just talking and talking and talking, and had such a good time. And we closed the place, so they were basically like, closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So we went out into the parking lot and he walked me to my car and he kissed me, which was very appropriate, very nice, very normal. And, one of us said to I probably said to him, call me when you get home. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. But before we met, we were talking in the middle of the night as well. So this was not out of the ordinary. So I went home and we talked for like maybe another 3, 4 hours, right? Okay. Then so that was one day. I may have I'm sorry, there was no text. I may have emailed him here and there, and I wasn't really getting a response. And I knew he didn't have a job that was going to take him away, or it was going to be anything that he would not have access to a computer or a phone to like type me back, right? So I hadn't heard from him. It was like 2 weeks. So, now he was living with his parents at the time too. So it wasn't like he had this secret life, he was married, whatever. He was living with his parents too. So he had a very uneventful life, there wasn't much going on. Um, so like 2 weeks go by. I probably emailed him. I didn't get a response, so I stopped emailing. You know how I am, right? If I'm not wanted, I'm not going to chase you. I'm going to let you know I'm interested, but I'm not going to chase you. So I put an email out. I might have like a few days later put another email out, and that was it. So 2 weeks later, all of a sudden, he instant messages me. And I'm like, "Oh, Chris." I was like, "I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks." And he was just like, "Blah, blah, blah," but, it wasn't job related, it wasn't personal, it was what I suspected, but I'm gonna get to that in a minute. So, um, again, we meet at the the Longhorn or the back. I don't know why we didn't go somewhere else, but anyway, I guess it seemed to work, so we went there again. Same exact thing. 5 o'clock. We started, we closed out the place until 2. No drinks involved. So, again, he it was like deja vu. He walked me to my car again, kissed me very appropriately and very nice. I said, "Call me when you get home." And he did, and then we spent the next um, few hours on the phone. This was probably on a Friday, so neither one of us had to work the next day. Same exact thing happened, right? He sent an email, didn't get a response, probably sent a kind of follow-up email, didn't get a response. So that was it. 2, 3 weeks later, you guessed it, he emailed m he, I'm sorry, he instant messaged me again, and I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" We seem to have, like, a good time, then you just fall off. They didn't have a response. It wasn't like, oh, work got really, started to pile up or I had family obligation. There was not anything. And this is what I was concerned about. Even though he was a few years younger than me, which I should have been saying this in the Greg episodes. But anyway, I was like, "You are not going to be responsible. You're too young to have a follow through, to be like, oh, okay, I'm ready for a relationship," because that's what he appeared to be. He appeared to want a um, a relationship, not just a hookup. We didn't call that back then, but anyway, not just a hookup. He seemed to want a relationship, but just as I suspected, he was too young for one. He just was lazy. He couldn't get it together, and he didn't even have a plausible excuse like work or family obligations. Okay. Or even friend obligations, something. So at this point, I say to him, listen, I don't think you're ready for a relationship because obviously you can't do the basic follow through. He's like, no, 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 no. I said, okay. I said, let me tell you something, Chris. I'll give you one last chance. Okay. Now, I knew he wasn't going to follow through. I knew it because that seems to be his track record, right? Like, there was no reason for him not to follow through, especially all he had to do was just respond to an email, right? Because I was emailing him at that point. So I said, "Okay, I bet you, I bet you." I didn't even bet anything, okay? But I said, "I bet you that you can't even follow through for the next few weeks." Like I said to him, "I have a feeling like 2 weeks from now, it's gonna be the same thing." He's like, "Oh, oh, you can't bet me. I'm a guy. I have to take that bet." I was like, "Okay." And again, it wasn't for anything. He just, the bet was you're gonna lose. That's all the bet was. So we get off the phone and nothing. What a shocker, right? So 2 weeks go by. Now I've just basically dared him. I've double dog dared him to follow through, and he couldn't even do that, and he accepted the challenge. So 2 weeks go by, he instant messages me, and I said, "Chris, what do you want? You lost the bet." And then he proceeded to say, "I always lose the good ones." I was like, "Listen, Chris," I was like, "You purposely did not follow through, and I have no idea why, but good luck to you." So that's the Chris story.